guys? Welcome back to the Training Camp Podcast.
The Training Camp Podcast.
I got a new chair.
With a multitude of guests.
Can't say he's wrong, am I right?
Oh, yeah. Dolphins.
No, I really like.
Stupid games.
5-0 last week. That's right. 5-0. Dak Prescott. You could lock up that 4 seed.
Again, it's not blazing hot, 65 degrees. I'm going to do this for fun.
They threw to Michael Thomas. The Heat. How? Chicago. Yes, you guys get an F.
And a little too much personality.
No.
Last week.
No, Ravens?
Oh, fuck. Give me that.
No way. There's no way. Hammering. Free. Really, do not talk about him.
This one's my fault.
Flex the game. Here we go.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Training Camp Podcast. It's warm as shit outside. I don't know about for you guys, but I think it's like 88, right? Hey, Google. What's the temperature?
The current temperature in Salt Lake City is 85 degrees.
85. Yeah, with the sun beating down on you, though, it feels like 95. But hey, summer's upon us, and it's officially June. Good stuff. Happy Pride Month, everybody. My birthday month, too. Ooh, 2 weeks away from my birthday. 2 weeks from when this podcast comes out, we'll be... Oh, my God, there's going to be a podcast that comes out on my birthday. That's so cool. That didn't plan that. First thing I want to talk about with you guys real quick, just like a couple minutes. How are you guys doing? No, I want to hear from you guys what you guys would like to see on the podcast with the summer coming up. I obviously have more time to work on the podcast, and I've been trying. There's been a lot of like just behind the scenes stuff, like moving parts happening, and so I'm very curious what like the consistent about 20 to 30 of you would like to see on the podcast, whether it be more segments that are more game show-esque or just more segments of me talking. If you guys do like videos of me just randomly talking, you guys can check out my talking to the camera playlist. I'll leave. I'm not gonna leave a link in the description. You guys can just check it out. It's like I think the most recent upload besides this podcast. I basically just pull out the microphone, talk for 20 minutes max. Sometimes it's 10 minutes, and then put the microphone away. It's a good time. But no, I'm curious what you guys like to see. If you guys want to see more guests on, I do want to bring some more people on that have already come on, and also some new people just to branch out as well. But anyway, let's leave it there, and let's hop into news of the week. So this broke today, like a couple hours ago. Coach K will be retiring after this season. So he's not retiring now. It's just once the upcoming season ends, he will be retiring. That's wild. A lot of people are speculating that he's going to be going to the NBA. I really doubt it. Very similar to like college football. Most college, like esteemed, resumed college coaches for basketball don't really like to go to the NBA because they have that notoriety within college basketball, and if they don't succeed in the NBA, then it's, well, what about the NBA? I think one of the only coaches who had a really good job was Brad Stevens, which I don't have much more to say about Coach K. So speaking about Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge, he stepped down, and Brad Stevens is taking his place. And it sounds like Brad Stevens actually isn't going to be the coach anymore. It sounds like he's going to be full president of basketball operations in Boston. Some people are reporting that he's going to be the coach and the president of basketball operations. I don't understand how he'd be able to do that. It's not like, Bill Belichick, where he can be the coach and the GM. This isn't just GM. This is the president of basketball operations for an entire NBA franchise, if not like the NBA franchise, them and the Lakers. So going back to Coach K, a lot of people are thinking that Coach K is going to take Brad Stevens' spot. He's probably not going to. The biggest name I've seen so far is Jason Kidd. But that's the first name to fly out in the first, 3 hours since this has been reported that Brad Stevens will be taking that spot. Yeah, I don't see for me personally, I don't see Brad Stevens staying as the head coach. He'll probably just move to basketball operations, which there were a lot of rumors that if the Celtics didn't do well in the playoffs or well in the regular season this year, that he'd be fired. I think it was probably the Celtics knew he wasn't going to be the head coach much longer, and teams were like, oh, he's not going to be the head coach much longer. Let's get this out to the media. And the reality of the situation was Danny Ainge was going to step down, and Brad Stevens was going to take his place. With Danny Ainge stepping down, I don't know. It's mixed feelings because, I still see the Nets trade as like a positive for the Celtics because you got rid of aging KG and Paul Pierce, and you got really good picks out of him. I'm pretty sure the Jason Tatum pick is part of that trade, and so he obviously did have some of his trades that weren't that good, but I mean, at the end of the day, they have a young core, a good young core too, just with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I mean, he even was somehow able to trade Isaiah Thomas and some picks for Kyrie Irving. Like, that's a really, really good trade. So I'm not gonna consider the Danny Ainge era a failure, especially because like there were, the Warriors dynasty was up and coming at that point, and the Warriors dynasty was up and coming at that point, and they as in the Celtics were not going to get past like LeBron and the Heat or LeBron and the Cavs. I mean, their best chance probably would have been like the bubble or the year before the bubble when it was Raptors Warriors, but that's just kind of, I don't see it as a failure. I just see it as, it was a pretty good GM, set them up well for the future. Staying with the Celtics, the Nets finished that series 4-1. I feel bad for the Celtics. Kemba didn't play that. I think he only played one game, if that. Jaylen Brown didn't play any of the games because of injury. Jason Tatum was really, really good though, but it was just not a good matchup. I mean, the Celtics were in the play-in for a reason. Just their roster, the injuries that they sustained, it wasn't going to be good news for them. And honestly, there weren't many series that the Celtics could have won, and being paired up with the Nets in the first round was a real shot to them and their season and their hopes. But like I said, they'll probably bounce back next season. The Nets, though, now that they're going to go against the Bucks, this is probably going to be one of my favorite series to watch in the playoffs, because the Nets don't play defense. Just don't. The Bucks love big men. They have so many big men. Do you know what the Nets don't have? Big men. Yeah, I know they have, Blake and DeAndre, who DeAndre has not gotten any time, but those are their biggest guys. I mean, KD is probably taller than them. Let's be real. There's no way KD's only 6'10". KD's probably 7 feet tall, but KD doesn't like defense. I'm not saying KD's a bad defender. KD's actually a pretty underrated defender, and so is Harden. I will say that. I'm not on the same train of, Harden can't defend. I think Harden doesn't like to defend, but when he does, he's actually a pretty good defender. I still think Kyrie's not a good defender, but kind of like what JP said, what points Kyrie allows, Kyrie will then double in that game. But I don't know, man. The defensive juggernaut that is the Milwaukee Bucks, as well as their ability to finish at the rim, which is one of the biggest weaknesses defensively for the Nets, is the finishing at the rim. I think this is going to be a really good series. It would not surprise me if this went 7. It also would not surprise me if the Bucks did win. That's just my thoughts on that. And then speaking of my favorite series, what's quickly turning into my favorite series of the playoffs, the Nuggets Jazz. Okay, Damian Lillard is the greatest player right now in the NBA playoffs. If the playoffs had an MVP, like last year with the bubble MVP, if the playoffs had an MVP, not like a finals MVP, but a playoff MVP, Damian Lillard would take this. He is probably, it's not even a question. He's the best he's the greatest shooter in the league, not named Stephen Curry. And I just feel bad for him, man, because he's such a good guy. Because he wants to stay in Portland. He doesn't want to do the whole super team thing unless they go to Portland, because Portland's been such a home for him. But man, I just want to see Damian Lillard win a championship. He's got the talent. He's got the personality. He's a good guy. He's got the leadership. And I mean, if CJ doesn't step out, let's be real, they probably get the ball to Lillard, and that game goes into 3 OT. It's just an absolutely unreal 55 points off of 70 from the field, 70 from 3, and I think 11 assists. So yeah, fourth most or third most all-time points. Great job by Damian Lillard, man. I really like the Trailblazers a lot, and I hope that next season they can get him. Nurkic has not been the same since the injury. CJ's still pretty good. CJ's really, really good too. But they need that 3, and it looks like Nurkic is not that 3 we all expected him to be. So it looks like if they can go after a big man in free agency or trade for one or something, then I think that'd be good for Dame. But man, I just want to see Dame win. That's all I want. Yeah, speaking of playoffs, let's move into the Lakers. So the Lakers dropped the game last night. This game was so bad that me and JP, the world's biggest LeBron fan, who I'm surprised has not texted me during the show yet, we left with 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. Yeah. We did not watch the entire game. We were watching more of the Denver Portland game, which is fair because that was a good game. We were watching that more. Oh, so we went out. We went out and watched the game. And they had them on both screens. Yeah, I think after the second quarter, I stopped watching the Phoenix game. I think JP was watching just to hope that LeBron was going to do something. But yeah, no, we left early because that's how bad that game was. Once the Nuggets game ended, yeah, it was over. Which, like, I don't know, man. I was thinking about making a talking to the camera video last night, but I was like, the podcast is tomorrow, so we'll just talk about it on the podcast. For me, I really want to say, not that I want to, but like realistically, it looks like the Lakers are going to be done. And I don't want to say that because I really like LeBron. But at the same time, like, if CP is even 80% in Game 6, and, you know, it's AD is probably going to play because this is a do-or-die situation, and they need as much help as they can get. Even like a 70% AD is better than Marc Gasol or Andre Drummond, who are both really bad yesterday, especially Andre Drummond. But, you know, and so if you're going to have an 80% against the 60% AD, the Suns are probably going to take that. The only thing I think that the Lakers have going for them is that the game is in Los Angeles. But I don't know, man. LeBron has to like turn back time if he wants to pull this off, because I mean he's gonna need like a 50-point game. I honestly thought that he was gonna get that 50-point game. I made a video for talking to the camera after the Anthony Davis injury, and I was like, yeah, Bron's probably gonna go for like 45 or 50 in game 5, just because like that's what Bron does. And then Bron didn't. Bron was definitely very hesitant in this game, which was kind of weird. Like, I mean, for the first quarter, he was attacking the rim a lot, but he wasn't finishing a lot. He was asking for a lot of fouls, which, to be fair, once the second quarter came around, Phoenix was getting a lot of the calls. But at the same time, for the first quarter at least, like there was just a lot of physicality being allowed on both sides. But yeah, LeBron was going towards the rim, but he wasn't finishing. I'm not going to test that to him being old. I'm going to test that to DeAndre Ayton's great defensive ability, as well as Chris Paul's great defensive ability. And so for Game 6, man, Bron's going to have to drop 50. Like, Bron's going to have a Dame-type game. With CP, if he plays, I really will, like, really lean towards the Suns. If he doesn't, then the Lakers should be fine. But at the same time, like, D-Book is finally in his bag now. I mean, D-Book had, 20 points in the first quarter. After the last game, he only had 17 in the entire game. I mean, DeAndre Ayton's had a fantastic series. And even, like, the role players, Cameron, Payne. I was going to call him Cam Johnson. Cameron Payne has had a great series coming off of the bench. Mikal Bridges has been great. Jay Crowder has been great. Like, the role players are being utilized really well, which I give credit to Monty Williams. So, and honestly, I think that Monty Williams is a much better coach than Frank Vogel. So, I mean, the only thing that the Lakers have going for them is LeBron James is the best player on the court, easily. And I'm going to be real, man. AD is not number 2, but in this series. I'm saying healthy AD is not the second best player in this series. The second best player in this series, I've got to give, when healthy, is Chris Paul, and the third is Devin Booker, and then it's Anthony Davis for me. And you know what, man? This is a really rough situation for LeBron. I'd say the Lakers, but LeBron especially, to be in, because if I'm LeBron this offseason, do I talk to the Lakers about possibly trading Anthony Davis for maybe not a big man? Because it looks like Bron has more success without big men and more with guards, like with Kyrie. Kyrie was more of a central component to winning the NBA Finals with Bron the year they did, rather than Kevin Love was, because Kyrie had that shooting ability. So do you try to go after like a Bradley Beal or a Damian Lillard, someone that you could maybe argue has the same value as Anthony Davis? But with Anthony Davis, man, he just gets hurt so much. And I will say this, like, when Anthony Davis is healthy, he's a great player. But at the same time, like, this game is moving away from size and moving towards shooting. We've been seeing that the past couple of years. I mean, Steph Curry, Damian Lillard's game alone yesterday shows, like, that's where the league's going. And Dennis Schroeder is definitely not doing that. I think if the Lakers maybe can get, like, a good package for, like, Schroeder and Anthony Davis to get, like, a big man of Schroeder's caliber and then a guard of Anthony Davis's caliber, I think that'd be best for LeBron because LeBron succeeds when he has shooters around him. And I said this in one of the other Talking to the Camera videos, which is like, this roster, this Lakers team has been assembled so poorly. At the beginning of the season, I was like, man, how is this team going to be stopped? But the more and more I watch this team, they don't work well together. They're not built to work well together. I said this in the video. I said that this roster, if you take away Anthony Davis, this is a worse roster than the roster that Bron inherited when he first went to the Lakers with Lonzo, Kuz, Ingram, And for me, I would rather have, JP was asking me because we were talking about that last night, and I said I would rather have that roster now, just because you have a guard and a forward. And I'm not saying that if they would have stayed with the Lakers that Lonzo and Ingram would have developed the same way. They would not have. Definitely not. We've seen that any player that leaves the Lakers is somehow better. And that's not a concern of mine, is like, if the Lakers trade for like a Bradley Beal or a Damian Lillard, are they going to get worse? Because this isn't a LeBron thing. Like, yeah, LeBron definitely like doesn't de-elevate players, but they have to take a smaller role because Bron is a very ball-centric player. That's not a shot at Bron. That's just a fact. But like with the Lakers in general, they will land stars like when they landed Steve Nash and Dwight Howard, and they just washed when they play with the Lakers. And you could argue, okay, well, Steve Nash was already washed at the time. Well, okay, maybe, but then when Dwight Howard left and went to the Rockets, he was better. So it's such a weird thing that it's like whatever's in the water with the Lakers, whatever. I mean, LeBron and Kobe are the only two players who have been consistently good in the last 10 years with the Lakers. Every other star that's gone to the Lakers has not been good. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if that needs to be a change in management or what the problem is there, but there's an issue in Los Angeles there. But I am worried about the Lakers, man. They don't match up well with the Suns right now. And it looks like one thing that I was saying was that the Clippers are starting to figure out the Mavericks. It looks like the Suns are starting to figure out the Lakers. And, I know it's LeBron James, and he's never lost in a round one, and they definitely have that going for them. But, I mean, with Game 7 being in Phoenix, and Game 7, if it goes that far, likely having a healthier Chris Paul than you had in Game 6, like, I don't know, man. Things are not looking good. And also there was a stat like 83% of teams that win Game 5 end up winning the series. Like, that's wild. I just don't know. I'd like to call this the best series of the playoffs, but a game with a 30-point blowout probably doesn't match up to that. I'd rather watch a game that goes into almost 3 overtimes. So, I don't know. I would like the Lakers to succeed because the NBA is like, this is something that I always say, the NBA is good when the big market teams are good. And I also just like and respect LeBron James a lot. But at the same time, like, for me, they don't really deserve it. Okay, well, JP didn't interrupt the podcast, but Easton did. That's wild. But yeah, so those are my feelings about the Lakers situation. Also, did you guys notice that I just changed the banner from last week to just Lakers instead of Clippers? It says Los Angeles Lakers instead of Clippers. Yeah, lazy but efficient and real. In the next leg of the podcast, we're going to talk about the NFL, like the biggest trade rumors and where I think the best fits are, as well as what I mean. So stick around for that. Hey guys, welcome back to the Train Camp Podcast. If you guys hear background like sound, my building is now doing construction on the roof. So luckily that's a couple floors ahead of me or above me. But yeah, they're doing a lot of construction. Which shout out to my building because the construction they did on our parking garage, it looks beautiful actually. Like, I'm not gonna lie, this is the dumbest thing. I sent a Snapchat to my friends saying, "Look how nice the parking garage looks," because it literally looked so good. Okay, if you guys missed in the first leg, we talked news of the week as well as why I think the Lakers could possibly be done in the playoffs this year. And maybe in the future, we don't know. Let's hop into my NFL trade segment thing. One thing I was talking to JP about, and I think a couple other people, is I was like, I like how when I started this podcast, I was like, this is going to look professional. I want this to be a professional looking podcast. And now I'm like, no. Let's just have fun. I'd rather have fun than have this shit look professional. I'd rather this be enjoyable than it be professional. All right. So with, now that the June 1st date has passed, there's likely going to be a bunch of trades now that teams will that are trading away players won't have as big a negative cap hit when they trade them away. So we're probably going to see a lot of names being moved here within the next couple of weeks. Honestly, probably knowing my luck, or once I turn off the camera, some trade will happen. But we're going to talk about the biggest names that are kind of rumored to be on the trade block right now and where I think they best fit. So let's do it. I only got 6 names here because they're the biggest ones in my mind. Number 1, Julio Jones, obviously been like the number 1 talking point for the past couple of weeks. Okay. Yeah, for me, the best fit for him is the Packers. I mean, it's a good fit for the Packers too because you're making Aaron Rodgers happy. You're giving Julio a great quarterback. I mean, not that Matt Ryan isn't, but this is Aaron Rodgers, you know. And then you have another wide receiver on the other side of the field, and Devontae Adams, who takes probably one of the safeties or corners off of you. And okay, cool. And if maybe they don't, and they have to double both of them. Okay, now you have, you know, MVS or Lazard. Actually, they didn't re-sign MVS. So you have Lazard in the slot, who then is going to be a god. Or you have Tunyon or Aaron Jones in the pass game. So it just opens up the entire offense. I think Julio really just wants a ring at this point. I mean, he said it to Shannon Sharp on Undisputed. I just want to win. And the Packers, I think, are like one of the best situations. I mean, the other 2 teams can't afford him. The other 2 teams, I mean, that like have the best chance of getting to the Super Bowl within the Chiefs and the Buccaneers, they don't have the cap room to afford him. Maybe the Chiefs do because they make all these random ass moves, but it's unlikely. And so I think the Packers are the next best bet. The other places that, like the 2 places that I'd really like to see him, I talked about this last week. I would love to see Julio in Jacksonville. I think it'd be great for Trevor Lawrence, be great for the first couple of years, you know, setting a culture. It'd be great for DJ Chark too. It could develop him. And I think, you know, one of the biggest things with Julio Jones is he's been in a dome his entire career. And if you go to Jacksonville where it's warm, and also every other team that you play, Houston has a dome, Indianapolis has a dome, and Tennessee, for the 2 games you play them, you know, one of them's going to be in Jacksonville and one of them's going to be in Tennessee. It might be cold in Tennessee, but unless it's like a December game, probably not. So you're basically playing warm weather the entire year round, just like you were in Atlanta. But I just think that'd be great. And then the other team that I think you'd be fitting really well with for very similar reasons is the Chargers. You have another star with Keenan Allen on the other side. They don't have a tight end yet, so to help them kind of solve that situation by maybe, you know, if you have, like I was saying with the Packers, if you have 2 good wide receivers, you're taking the stress off of your tight end or your slot wide receiver. And, I mean, he's not a slot wide receiver, but Mike Williams is a great third option. Austin Eckler is excellent in the pass game. And you're making, very similar to Trevor Lawrence, you're making Justin Herbert's life hella nice. You know, now that he has an upgraded offensive line into arguably Hall of Fame wide receivers and all Pro Bowl caliber running back, you know. And so I think it'd be great, especially for, you know, first year head coach and Staley, and with that division, well, not that division, with the Chiefs in their division, that really helps them out. So I would like to see him on either Jacksonville or the Chargers, but I think the best fit probably is the Packers. Leighton Vander Esch. Yeah, I pulled this one out of thin air, didn't I? Okay, yeah, you guys see it. Steelers. Now, why is the Steelers the pick? The reason. So first of all, if you're wondering why I'm talking about Leighton Vander Esch, there's been a lot of rumors lately that the Cowboys are shopping him just because of injury and because, you know, I think his rookie contract is expiring. They don't want to pay him, which is fair. And I think the Steelers are a great fit. I mean, we saw this with Avery Williamson last year, a 1-year contract, and he filled in at middle linebacker. I mean, he didn't play that much, but when he did, he was a difference maker. And I think, you know, you put him, as in Leighton Vander Esch, at linebacker with Devin Bush. That's like one of the fastest linebacking tandems in the league. I don't think Leighton Vander Esch is going to get a 1, 2, or 3. I would be surprised if he even got a 4, just because a neck injury for a linebacker is really hard to. It's a really hard selling point for the team trading him away. You know, for the Cowboys to be like, oh, well, he'll be fine. It's like, it's a neck injury. Chill. That's not the most exciting news to get whenever you're trading for a player. But with the Steelers, I mean, they love playing zone defense. Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator, also for some reason loves putting linebackers on wide receivers for whatever reason, especially on like 3rd and 3 or 3rd and goal. He loves doing that. And so if he wants to do that, he can put Leighton Vander Esch or Devin Bush on a slot wide receiver, and they can likely keep up with them for the most part, or you can put them on a running back. And also with the way that the game's evolving, where, you know, a lot of quarterbacks have to be mobile now. If you want to extend the play, you can have Devin Bush or Leighton Vander Esch be a quarterback spy. I think that's a great fit. There's cap space there for the the trade to happen because Leighton Vander Esch is still very cheap. I doubt that if this happens, Leighton Vander Esch resigns for multiple years, but I think it's a good trade overall for both sides because Leighton Vander Esch will get to shine, and especially with the Cowboys now picking up, oh God, what's his name out of Penn State? Like one of the most talented dudes in the draft. I can't remember his name. He was a problem. Me and JP and Parker were like, he's going to Oakland because it's a perfect fit. Micah Parsons. With them picking up Micah Parsons, it's more likely that they're going to move off of him because they're more likely going to trade Leighton Vander Esch because of how small his contract is in comparison to Jalen Smith, who has a bigger contract. So, yeah. I think the Steelers are just a good fit. Not just because I'm a Steelers fan. Zach Ertz is going to the Buffalo Bills. I don't want to hear anything about it. The other team that I considered was also the Chargers because they don't have a tight end anymore, so that might happen. But Philadelphia's not going to trade him in conference. I really doubt it. So, and the Bills are literally a running back, like a consistent running back, and a good tight end away from being on par with the Chiefs. I mean, Ertz is not like a Kelsey-esque or a Waller-esque tight end anymore. I mean, I think the last 2 years are definitely going to, depreciate his value, and just, aging makes you a lowered ceiling player. And so, Zach Ertz definitely used to be in that tier with Gronk and Kelsey, but a couple of years off your career is gonna, you're gonna decline a little bit. But I mean, if he could be in Buffalo, man, and Josh Allen has not had a really good star tight end, I think it would just be amazing with that defense getting better. Brian Dable staying, there's rumors of him even signing an extension. They would just dominate. All they need, if they make this move happen, which I really think it will, because all the rumors are pointing towards it happening, if they can just get a running back, they would be unstoppable, and I would love to see them play the Chiefs every single week if possible, because that'd be a great matchup. Stephon Gilmore, yeah, the Patriots hate his contract, which I'm not surprised. I don't know why you offered him that much, but you did, and now you're stuck with him. Just kidding, you're not, because you're probably going to trade him. Yeah, Cardinals are, in my mind, the best bet for, where he fits. For me, it's like a puzzle piece, man. They lost Patrick Peterson. They have the cap space, and their secondary is honestly their biggest worry. I mean, their defensive front is fine. Their linebackers are fine. Their safeties are fine. Their offensive line has gotten better. They now have two good running backs in James Conner and I was gonna say Christian Kirk. That's a wide receiver. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. What's his name? He was only on my fantasy team last year. Whatever. The running back for okay, you know what? What's his name? Hold on. Please stand by. Hold on. No, it's running backs. Chase Edmonds, thank you. And so they have the running backs, they have the wide receivers, they have the quarterback, obviously. I think their biggest concern right now is not even their secondary, just their cornerbacks. And, not even just an experienced player like Gilmore, but, someone who 3 years ago was arguably one of the best defensive players in the league. He can bring his veteranness to the team and help develop the younger cornerbacks that they, whether they want to draft next year, or the guys that they have right now, if they're confident in them. I think that's just really, really good for the Cardinals. It's very J.J. Watt-esque, where you're bringing in a veteran to kind of help the team out for the most part. And with that division, they need as much help as they can get for being how young they are. I think some veteran presence is going to be really, really important, and will help them out in the future. So I would love to see Stephon Gilmore with the Cardinals. All right, last two big boys. Deshaun Watson. That's right. We're going back to this. For me, the best fit in my mind is Washington. Washington, like how I was saying, the Bills are a tight end or running back away from being just serious contenders. For me, Washington is a quarterback away from being a serious contender. I like Heineke, but he's probably not going to be the future. I had a bud at me where I was like, maybe he will be. And then they signed Ryan Fitzpatrick for some reason. Here's what I see. I see Ryan Fitzpatrick being a great backup in case Deshaun Watson for some reason gets hurt. But Washington, great offensive line, great young running back in Gibson, great wide receiver core now, great tight end. That's every element on offense they have solved. Great defensive front, great secondary all around, corners and safeties, great linebackers. They do not have a hole right now except for quarterback. And if Deshaun Watson could like pick his place, I would want to go to Washington. Not only that, but they're also going to be going under like a brand reconstruction over the next couple of years, and you can be the face of that brand new brand. You can be the face of this organization getting turned around essentially. And with you on offense, you being the face of the offense, and then Chase. Oh my God, I almost said Chase Claypool. Chase being the face of the defense. I think that if Washington can make this work without giving up any big name players, obviously, and just giving up picks and a couple small name players, I think Washington will not only be the top of the NFC East for like the next 4 or 5 years, but I think they'd be the top of the NFC with Tampa Bay for the next 4 or 5 years, because in my mind, Washington has a better defense than Tampa Bay. The only thing that they don't have better than Tampa Bay is weapons, because Tampa Bay has like 3 wide receivers who are all Pro Bowlers, and they've tight end who's a Pro Bowler, and 2 running backs that could be Pro Bowlers. So like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. But Washington's great, and especially like the duo J.D. McKissick, Antonio Gibson is great as well. So I think Washington's the perfect spot. I don't see any other location that he would succeed more. I like Miami, but they don't have the pieces yet. They have the pieces for a trade, but they don't have the pieces for Watson to succeed. I think also the Texans would like to trade him out of conference, and Washington would be, the best situation for that. Also, I think it kind of helps that Houston is in Texas, and Houston probably would not like to be the worst Texas team. And if they can put 2 losses on the Dallas schedule every year, they would love that. All right. Lastly, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, it says Packers. Why? Why should he go anywhere else? Seriously. Go to marriage counseling, you two. Gutekunst and Aaron Rodgers. You guys just need to go to marriage counseling. Figure this shit out, because Aaron Rodgers said he doesn't want to play for any team but the Packers, and the Packers are like, we're not gonna budge on Aaron Rodgers. We're gonna call his bluff. Yeah, there's a good reason. You both are a great match. I mean, yeah, Aaron Rodgers from California, and this is Milwaukee, or it's Green Bay, but it's Wisconsin. Like, yeah, okay, that's the only issue. But like, seriously, you guys can't just bury this? Packers, restructure his contract. If you were worried about salary cap, which you shouldn't be because you don't sign any players anyway, just do what the Chiefs are doing and make it guaranteed money. That's all you got to do. Aaron Rodgers, you have weapons. Stop complaining about it so much. Maybe the Packers should go a little more. But, I mean, hey, you want to solve this, Green Bay? Just get Julio Jones and then restructure your Aaron Rodgers contract. You guys are fine. There's no other team that fits him better than the Packers. There's no reason this should be even a problem. But this is a thing every single year, so whatever. Let's move into But I Mean. Okay. If you're new here, But I Mean, essentially, it's like hot takes. It's like, I know this is more likely going to happen, but I mean, why can't this happen, All right, number 1. You'll catch on. Number 1. I know that they lost last night, and I spent an entire segment talking about why they're probably done. But, I mean, why can't Braun summon up his 2018 version of himself and get the Lakers out of the first round? Braun has the talent. Braun has, the intangibles, the IQ. He has the players, question mark, if AD is somewhat healthy. I can see, if LeBron can somehow get that 2018 Cavs team to the finals, surely he can get this team out of the first round. But I do know that, they're playing a really, really talented Suns team that probably would have been like the 1 seed in the East because the West is really strong on the East, yada, yada, yada. So, but I mean, it is LeBron James at the end of the day. So, I mean, why can't he do it? Oh, God. This is, I know that I'm probably going to be wrong about him shutting up, but just follow me here. I know it's never going to end. But, I mean, why can't Jake Paul get his ass knocked out so hard that he shuts the fuck up for the rest of his life? Yeah, he got scheduled for a new fight. I don't know when it is. I don't care. I'll probably not watch it. I'll probably watch the highlights because I don't want to give any money to him. He's a jackass. He's a garbage human being. Why can't he just, first 5 seconds, just poof, take one to the face, take one to the schnauzer, and just lay out cold so hard that he's embarrassed to ever speak again. And he deletes his YouTube channel. He never tweets, and he just takes all the money he's earned and puts into a retirement account and just shuts fuck up and goes and lives his own life. Why can't that happen? It's not going to. Sometimes it's just for me to vent. And lastly, I think it's the most important one for me this week. like important to me this week. I know that they still have, they still have to win one more game, and if not, they have to win 2 more games, and they have to get out of the first round, and also get out of the second round, and also get out of the conference finals, and also win the finals. But I mean, why can't CP3 finally get his ring? I love watching CP3 play, man, because he's. A lot of people were like comparing him to Jimmy Butler, where it's like, oh, CP3 is just an asshole. People don't like playing with him. It's like, no, CP3 is just showing to be a leader. I think the players that are complaining about him were just, they didn't like being, told what to do by other players. But I mean, if you look at what CP3's done to every team that he ever goes to, they automatically get better once he gets there, and they automatically get worse once he leaves. And I think he's one of those players that has worked his ass off to get to a finals, and just unfortunately, the wheels never turned in his favor, whether it be injuries, whether it be super teams. And I would just love to see the 2 teams I would love to see in the finals this year, man, are the Jazz and the Suns. The Suns obviously haven't been there in so long, and I really like CP3 a lot. I think D Book is also really underrated, and this is the first time he's been in the playoffs. I'd love to see him succeed in the playoffs. And then for the Jazz, I just really like. I hate Utah fans. They're the worst. Except for Ramona and Kylie. Y'all are chill. But those are the only 2 Utah Jazz fans that I know. Anyways, but I'd like to see Utah win just because it's good for the state. And also, it'd be kind of cool to go to a finals game here in Utah. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be an interesting day. That'd be pretty fun. Not going to lie. All right. That's the pod. Thanks for tuning in, guys. There's going to be some more brand new links in the description in celebration of Pride Month. Make sure you guys go check those out. Go support all those causes, and also go better educate yourselves as well. I'm not going to take down the older ones that are always in the description. I'm just going to put the Pride ones above them. So, yeah, go check those out. And thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys. If you guys have gotten this far into the podcast, type Zach was right. Dennis Rodman is the true GOAT into the comments. Thank you guys for joining me and taking 40 minutes out of your day to listen to this podcast. If you made it this far, appreciate it. Love doing the podcast every single week. Yeah. See you guys next week.